Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Clara, and today I wanted to talk to you about something that I've gotten really into lately, and that's actually cream eyeshadow pots. Now there are a lot of brands that have cream eyeshadow pots and a lot more affordable options, but today I wanted to focus on some of the kind of big like department store brands, things that you might see and wonder what's the difference between the two big name brands. I will say up front that cream eyeshadows, kind of the whole idea is they're super easy to apply and really kind of minimal effort makeup. So most of them are marketed as like they do have some sort of primer capability within them that's supposed to not cause these eyeshadows to crease. However, when you think about it, the formulas are all like really creamy or kind of oily. And so on my oily eyes and my skin type, everything creases on me without a primer. Even with these cream eyeshadows, I do still have to wear a primer, so that's just kind of something to be aware of. They're not really a magic potion. Most of the ones that I do have are kind of more neutral base shades, so I do have them all combined on my eyes right now. Some of these also come with applicators while other ones don't. A lot of people think of these as something you can kind of spread on with your finger, but that obviously depends on like if you have long nails or if you have big fingers or small eyes or whatever. It can look like a little bit weird and chunky around the outside if you do blend with a finger. So for me, almost always I do use like a goat hair brush to just kind of blend and apply these out. I have tried them with their own applicators as well for the ones that come with applicators, but I generally find that they just work better using your own brushes that you're more familiar with. I want to start with the cheapest and move on to the more expensive, so we will start with the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize. This is $32 for the pot. Each one of these is 0.24 ounces, and this shade is called Jean. I am also eyeing the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize in Marie Antoinette. I think that's a really beautiful oyster color. So first off, it has this dark brown lid with the rose gold logo on it, and the glass is frosted, but you can still kind of see the color through here. Inside you can see the jar is not 100% full. This is one of the more like fluid and liquidy kind of cream eyeshadows that I own, and this is a really nice kind of brightening champagne beige color. This is one of the most brightening ones that I have for the eyes. Again, all these are kind of like a more neutral wash of color, but this one is definitely one of the brightest shades that I have, and this one is also very, very opaque, which some of them aren't. Normally I would apply this all over the lid, but I did put it up on my brow bone today. This is really easy to blend out also because it's so creamy, and I do find that this one gives you just a little bit more time till it dries than some of the others, so you can get like a really nice kind of blended out edge. I really, really like this one, and I do think it's worth the money, and I am going to pick up more shades of this, starting with Marie Antoinette. So next up we have a more recent addition to my collection, and that is the Christian Dior, and this one actually does come with its own applicator, which I will show you in just a second, and it's $33, so $1 more expensive than the Charlotte Tilbury one. This is their DiorShow Fusion Mono Eyeshadow in the shade Chimere. There are 0.22 ounces in here. It does have a black lid with the logo, and the glass is clear so you can see the color through here. The Dior eyeshadow you can see is a little bit bigger in the jar than the Charlotte Tilbury one, but the Charlotte Tilbury one actually has just a little bit more product inside. So I really, really like the color of this one. It's very interesting. It's not one of the more opaque eyeshadows that I have, and also the formula is probably the most dry, so it's a little bit difficult to pick up color. You do have to kind of rub it quite hard. This color is kind of like a oyster pink. It's very, very interesting, and it's really beautiful. Again, it's not very opaque at all. It's kind of on the sheer side, but it does have just like this very subtle kind of like shift and shimmer in the light. It comes with this little silver applicator, and you actually pull the top off, and this becomes a handle for your new mini brush here. And on the top there's actually a sponge type applicator. I have tried to apply it with a sponge, but again, since this product is so dry, the sponge really doesn't do a great job of picking it up, so I do like to kind of either use my finger or a brush to apply this one. And again, because it's a little drier, it blends more like a powder eyeshadow. I did use it today in the crease to kind of soften the edges of the shadow that I'm wearing primarily on the lid, which is the next one. So next we have the Chanel Illusion d'Ombre eyeshadow. This is what I'm wearing all over the lid, and it is kind of very similar in packaging to the Dior eyeshadow. They're almost the same size and everything, clear glass. It's really kind of hard to tell them apart from the outside packaging. Inside they're quite different. They both come with a very similar type of applicator too, except this one is black. Again, you just pull the top off. There you go. And this one is a little different because it's actually a flat brush, so you're supposed to be able to use the flat side to kind of pile color on there, and then the thin side if you wanted to use it as like more of a liner or like around the sharper edges of the eye. This brush works okay to apply it. I would say the applicator works better than the Dior one for the consistency of the respective eyeshadows, but I still like a brush that has just a little bit more grip to it for cream eyeshadows. This one is very smooth and kind of slippery, so it doesn't give you as much control. So this is $36 and it has 0.14 ounces in it, which is actually a lot less than the previous two that we've seen, but I do really like the consistency of this eyeshadow. It's much more moussey than any of the other ones that I have. It's really easy to pick up with a finger or with a brush. However, I do find it kind of dries just a little bit quickly on the edges, so when you're blending it out you just have to be a little bit quick about it, and that is why I used the Dior eyeshadow to kind of blend the edges of this one. So it's a nice light gold color and I applied it all over the lid. And the Chanel eyeshadow is also quite opaque, similar to the Charlotte Tilbury one. Next I have a really interesting kind of cream eyeshadow. I really like the color. It's very fascinating actually. It's from Tom Ford and this one is $46 for this single eyeshadow, which is kind of a lot. There's 0.17 ounces in it, so it's pretty low. It's a little bit more than the Chanel eyeshadow. And quickly I want to point out how similar the Charlotte Tilbury and Tom Ford packagings are. She did help him design his makeup lines. That could have something to do with it. They may be made in a similar factory, at least the packaging. Except the Charlotte Tilbury, the glass is opaque and the Tom Ford, it's clear. So this is the color Sphinx, and oh my gosh, it's such an interesting color. I was drawn to it immediately because it's this very cool like gold pink with a like green shift to it, and this one is not very opaque at all. It's more like a sheer wash, and I applied it over that light gold Chanel eyeshadow to kind of give a little bit more shimmer and dimension to it. Again, because of the pink and the gold shift, it's really pretty. This is very similar also in texture to the Charlotte Tilbury, although it's just a little bit thicker in my opinion. This is actually another one of the brands where I'm eyeing more eyeshadow colors to pick up because I really enjoy it. I'm actually eyeing the shades Opal, which is kind of like a very bright champagne, and then also the shade Burnished Copper, which looks so cool. It's not really like a copper shade like it suggests. It's more of a like kind of taupey green, and I think it would look really great on hazel eyes. Lastly, I have something that is actually limited edition, but the collection has come back a couple of times, so I'm thinking the collection will come back again at some point, and I wanted to just mention it in case you guys are curious, and that is actually the Victoria Beckham Estée Lauder collection. It's really hard to find it now, so I can't say the exact price, but I think it was $36, and you can see the packaging is also just so cool. I love this lid, and it's really practical to open because for cream eyeshadows you should keep them like really tightly twisted, and since this lid actually has a little bit of grip to it, it makes it much easier to do that and get it open again. Now this is 0.12 ounces. This is the eye foil in blonde gold, and you can see this is actually a much more liquidy consistency than any of the other ones. I'm wearing it on the inner V of my eyes right now, and I've been loving it like through the holiday season because it gives you such a bright pop of like gold shimmer and sparkle. It's amazing. It's so easy to use. This is probably like my favorite thing. I really wish they would make this permanent because it sold out so quickly too, because everybody really wanted to get on board with it. It's really amazing. You could wear it like all over the lid if you wanted a really brightening look, but it is, you know, you can see it's quite intense with the gold. And this is one where it's very liquidy, but once it dries down it really does not move around. So that's good because you're not going to get like gold sparkles coming down like underneath your eyes. So that's my mini review of these cream eyeshadows. I hope that you guys have found it helpful. Out of all of these, the ones I'm thinking about picking up next are more shades of the Charlotte Tilbury and the Tom Ford. That's not to say there's anything wrong with the Chanel or the Dior. They're just a little bit more difficult to work with than the Charlotte Tilbury and the Tom Ford, so I would recommend trying those out first. If you guys have any favorite cream eyeshadows, please just leave me a comment down below so I can check them out, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you again really soon. Bye guys!